So to review, Moira, I'm going to ask you, what is meant by the term cooperation in a moral evil?
So cooperation in a moral evil tells us that we've already discovered that there's something that's being asked of us that seems to us to involve some kind of moral evil. And we are being asked to participate perhaps at some level. But it does mean that we've already evaluated this behaviour in our own heads as something that's raising red flags that tells us that we perhaps shouldn't be involved in this. And so through its long tradition, the Church has worked out, has analysed a lot of these situations, if you like, and has told us about there are certain ways of cooperating that are not allowed, and there are other ways of cooperating that, although perhaps we would just as soon not do them, may not be as serious as some of the other levels of cooperation. So there are these levels of involvement, and from the point of view of our being asked to do something that's necessary for somebody else's act to be completed. And then a lot depends on what we actually think about the intention that person has and about the part that we're being asked to play.
Okay, so that there's certainly discernment involved in the process of assisting someone in a moral evil, which is what cooperation is about generally. We were also talking about immediate material cooperation, and in that case we had the person apparently disagreeing with the evil being done, but nevertheless offering some form of essential assistance. And in both cases, formal cooperation and immediate material cooperation really placed the person who was assisting in the same moral camp as the person who was actually performing the evil act. But immediate material cooperation is not the only kind of material cooperation. And so we have something that is called mediate material cooperation. What is mediate material cooperation?
I know the terminology can be difficult for people, but the reason we even have the terminology is, as you said, because there are so many different levels of involvement, and it's important then to discover which level of involvement is being asked of us in this possible cooperation. Mediate material cooperation means that the part that I would be asked to play is in a sense part of it, but is not essential to the act being done. So it also means, as in immediate material cooperation, that I actually think the act is wrong. But at this level, what I'm being asked to do is somehow not as connected with the substance of the act. And it's the sort of situation, I think, where many of us would feel, I would just as soon not have to do this. And if we truly had our own say in the matter, we would not do it because we are seeing the overall intention of the act and the outcome of the act is wrong. But the part that we're being asked to play, possibly because of our occupation or something like that, and because we're recognizing, if I do that, it's not really part of the overall act. I may be part of a team here, but my part is not essential to the act being done. In other words, if I didn't participate, in fact, the act would still be done, but at some level I may be being asked to cooperate to maybe help, say for example, after an abortion, I could, as a nurse, I may be asked to go in and, make sure that the woman is all right. If there's any bleeding, look to her medical needs, look to her care. And it's got nothing to do with what I think about the woman or the abortion. Cooperation in evil is about my own individual responsibility and the responsibility I take for my moral acts. So it's about what I need to do, or what I see is wrong to do, or what I see is right to do. So it's not about discriminating against anybody else. It's my conscience and I have to follow it. So in a situation like that, I could be part of a team that goes in and helps the woman afterwards, where I couldn't be part of the team that actually helps the abortion to take place, like handing over surgical instruments or something like that, which to me would be, that part would be immediate material cooperation, because I'm not actually doing the abortion, but I'm helping it to be done. But post-abortion, I mean, the woman is still important, obviously, in her medical needs. So as part of that team, I could do it. I would look at something like that as maybe I would just as soon not be involved in any level of abortion. I wouldn't, actually. But in a particular situation, I think that kind of level of cooperation is material, but not immediate and not essential, and therefore I wouldn't be morally culpable the same way as somebody who was involved in immediate material cooperation.
I remember reading Gerald Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
and writing in the 1950s,
Sure.
and classic work.
Yes.
And
yeah.
he was saying that sometimes it is important for people to be in places that might make them uncomfortable. In other words, providing aftercare, perhaps, for
Yeah.
a woman who may have had an abortion,
Yes.
being with a family, perhaps,
Sure.
after someone has medically assisted
Sure.
death and so on.
Right.
Maybe it is important to be there to witness,
Mhm.
being
Sure.
a presence
Sure.
in in situations that are obviously very difficult for this woman,
Yeah.
very
For
difficult
sure.
for this
Yeah,
family.
for
And,
sure.
so
Yeah.
what would you say to that?
I think that's good general wisdom.
Mhm.
That idea of witness. Some people would actually argue, in another sense, that by being, and I've had people say this to me,
Mhm.
that by being present in a situation like that where great evil has been done, it almost looks as if I'm condoning the evil. So this is the real life problem with how things look.
Can I interrupt and say the word scandal?
The word scandal,
The word
exactly,
scandal, capital
sure.
S scandal,
Yeah.
again, another Catholic term, which
Yes.
means
sort of taking people away from seeing the truth of actions,
Mhm.
or the rightness or wrongness of actions. So, but Kelly's right, and you're right too, in the other sense, and I think it would be that sense that would make me think myself, if I were a nurse in that situation, that at least I can make these distinctions, and in doing this part, the aftercare, I'm not doing anything wrong, regardless of how it looks outside. And that's important, because sometimes things can look wrong and they're not. But that's why we make these distinctions, so that I can think in my conscience, regardless of how it looks, this part is not wrong.
Mhm.
And that way I am doing something that's part of my nursing duty, if you like. But beyond that, I think you're right. It could possibly be very important for certain families to see that despite the fact that they think Nurse McQueen doesn't approve of this, she's still willing to help somebody who needs help, because you're not judging the woman. I mean, this brings us right back to crucial Catholic teaching. It's not about judging the woman at all, therefore I can help the woman. But it's about judging the act, and it's the act that I can't take part in.
So when it comes to mediate material
Mhm.
cooperation, how does the Church regard this? What would Catholic Church teaching say about this?
Well, Catholic Church teaching is making that distinction in the category, and saying if it's not essential to the act being done, then my direct involvement in that part that's not essential is morally acceptable. There is a recognition that I still might not feel wonderful about it, given the overall look, or even more than the look, substance of the act. But the important thing is that I'm clear that what I'm doing is not essential to the act, but is part of, as I'm using as an example, the after treatment of someone. And that, of course, is something that can certainly be done without any fear that you've done anything morally wrong.
Thank you so much.